with the religious trauma syndrome that I have, what is clear, what you cannot argue, what is consistent is that, unfortunately, my religion has constantly put me in positions to where I don't have a choice but to do the work, right? Or to create spaces for healing and to do the advocacy work, because the things that I need to heal don't exist. They don't exist. With that in mind, I would like to share this point. My daughter, my youngest daughter, deserves a fair opportunity to decide if she wants to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses or not. I'm going to say that again. My daughter, my youngest daughter, right? That's the one that's not baptized, okay? She deserves a fair opportunity to decide for herself, let me put that in there, for herself, if she wants to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses or not. And I put a bold, the boldest stamp on the word fair. Okay? This video is coming from this point, right, that I was kicked out of the JW homeschoolers group, which, you know, it was a while ago, whatever, but it's the principle and it's the point of what I'm trying to share. When you're trying to ask people for help and all they know how to do is shun you, well, who in the world am I serving shoulder to shoulder with? The question is, who really is my brother? Because if you're asking for help and you are just being honest and authentic, and don't get me wrong, even though I got kicked out the JW homeschoolers block, Almighty God, thank you very much, I still got the support and that I needed from those few moms who reached out, right? But it still didn't feel good. And it still put me, but more importantly, my child, who I'm advocating for, in a very difficult position. And what it has done is forced me to create. Let me explain. Hey, if you don't know, I'm Myra Cassidy, empowerment coach, religious trauma specialist, actress, writer, speaker, and you're watching Sisters, Living with Religious Trauma Syndrome. What is this about? This is about me trying to raise awareness to an emerging field, that of religious trauma syndrome, because I have it, and it is horrific. Okay, very difficult. I am a coach. I am not a therapist. This is not a space for therapy, okay? And I do not represent the Worldwide Association of Jehovah's Witnesses. I understand that's very confusing for you out there, but I am an active witness. What that looks like for me is I do not go to the Kingdom Hall. I worship at home. I worship in my own spiritual routine. I am a PMO, and I absolutely do coach one-on-one active witnesses, inactive witnesses, disfellowshipped, and exJWs. And there's more information about that in the comment field. But yes, I absolutely do coach on all the whole gamut, because I simply get it, and everything's not so black and white. Okay, subscribe to my YouTube channel. That helps me out. That helps me get views. That helps me in the long run to produce more content. So definitely I'm trying to grow this YouTube channel. So please subscribe, and share the information with a friend. Let me go ahead and tell you a story. Grateful for the Kingdom Hall that I do go to. But here's the thing. It is not a kid-friendly congregation. I have an issue with that. Why is any hall not a kid-friendly hall? That is so disturbing. And you hear people talk about, who were grown and things like that. Oh yeah, the hall I grew up in wasn't kid-friendly. It wasn't kid-friendly. What are we saying here? Like, that is a major issue, because the children are the ones who need to be protected the most, right? So what are we saying when you don't go to a kid-friendly hall? I'm very grateful for the congregation that I do go to. I don't want to say too much about that right now, so I'm going to leave that alone. I know I've been asked, a research question about that, and let's just say I'm grateful for the congregation that I go to, right? I'm grateful for the brother whose field service group I'm under. Although they don't understand this whole thing I'm doing, at least people try, right? They try, but it's I have to be realistic with what people going to get and what they're not going to get, right? This religious trauma syndrome is not even in the DSM. So I can't expect my elders to get it when so many other people don't get it. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense. Moving on from that point, here's what I want to share as an example. Thank you to the individual who allowed me to share this journey. I asked first if I can share her journey. She reached out to me, this wonderful older woman who used to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses reached out to me when I was, and this is how I meet a lot of people too. They hear me talking and they're going, she's a witness. That's a witness. And people reach out to me and we start conversating and things like that. So I've made, a lot of connections that way. So this wonderful older woman reached out to me, and said, I know your journey because I lived it. And that opened the door for some great conversation. And we still have more great conversations to have. But one of the things that stays on my mind about this wonderful individual, a lot, is how unfairly her children were treated when they did nothing. And neither did she. What happened in her situation was she was not a witness. She married, came into the truth, whatever. Her husband was completely unfaithful, just affair after affair after affair after affair. She went through so much dealing with that situation. He would not stop his behavior. She's going through, from what I recall, a divorce and all of this, trying to still make her meetings with her and her children, going through a horrific situation. And what she told me was she pulled up to the Kingdom Hall one day, her children were even getting to a point where they felt like they weren't receiving love from the congregation. They're going through so much. Our family's falling apart. I feel like sometimes that's what happens at the Kingdom Hall when issues are going down. Right? Sometimes people shy away. Right now it's like, I don't want my kids around them because they're not really going to be, I don't want my kids to be influenced. You know how that stuff goes, right? I've judged others like that too. Like, oh, but I've done that, right? Which is always why I've always had this thing where the fun house is my house. Because I know what goes on in my house, especially after what happened to me when I was growing up in the truth, at a sister's house, at a slumber party. No. The slumber parties, I'm the fun house. And that's how it was when, I was raising my older two children. And with this religious trauma that I have, I'm unable to give my youngest daughter those things, right? And it's unfair for her. I'm unable to give her the slumber parties and all of that, right? I threw 2 skating parties. That was a lot of work. I rented out a whole skating rink just for witnesses and especially youth to have something to do. And I think that's another reason just why my older children did so well. I was always making sure they had activities to do. My oldest daughter got invited to a formal on the west side of town, in a whole nother area on the west side. That didn't happen on the east side of town. That was on the west side of town because I had connected with people and who had children on the west side of town. So she got to have this wonderful experience her junior year of high school. She got to, feel what it was like to go to a quote unquote prom. When I dropped her off, some pioneers on the west side organized this, right? So it was well supervised. It was well watched. My daughter had a great time getting dressed and everything. Went to drop her off. They said the parents couldn't come inside. I said, I can't come inside. You cannot come inside. Me and a couple other moms were trying to look through the window. You know how mothers do. Oh, you're having a good time. But she had a blast. Okay. So the fact that I cannot give my daughter those same types of things, my youngest baby, is grief. It's grief. So what I'm going to share about this individual was when she pulled up to that parking lot that day, her last meeting, it wasn't just the fact that she just could not go inside. Her children also said they just did not want to do it anymore. And you know what she said? I'm done. We done. And they stopped going to the Kingdom Hall. Things like this happen because the Kingdom Hall is not giving the support that's necessary, especially to them kids. Especially to them kids. Them kids is going through a divorce. They daddy is the one who's not acting right. And their daddy is the one, they go to a Kingdom Hall where, you know how it is, the daddy, all his family got positions. So his behavior is not getting checked like it needs to. But what's even more upsetting for me is this older woman, so much of her journey matches with mine, right? She ended up having the marital home. I live in my marital home. When they divorced, her ex moved like around the corner. My ex moved 5 minutes up the street, right? Until he got remarried, right? Just craziness, right? And all of that is the power and control why they move so close to you in the first place anyway. And the thing about this individual is she lives in my neighborhood, not too far from me. Right? So that means that this is someone who would be considered in my circuit. Some of the same Kingdom Halls. Well, actually, the Kingdom Hall that I go to, she used to go to. That's one of the halls she went to at a certain point, right? So it's like we're talking about the same elders. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, mind blowing, you know what I mean? Or some of the people that she's dealt with, I probably knew, right? Because we would have been in the same circuit. When a mother is going through something and she's the victim and she's not getting supported, what do you think is happening to those children? What do you think is happening to the children? Guess what? The children get it worse. I think about what I go through. It is so hard, emotional regulation. And then to hear and understand that the children get it worse and it presents in different ways. It has taken a lot for me to fight to be healthy. And every day I'm working on my children and working with my children and meeting them where they are and seeing how their emotions are flowing. And my daughter's 13, so she's getting ready to go through some big changes. Children should not be shunned. They need all the support in the world. And even if a mother, this is another big one. If a mother is disfellowshipped, the child isn't. The mama's disfellowshipped, not the child. Pick that child up. Give that child activity. Give that child love. Don't punish the child with the parent. I'm sorry, I get emotional about things like this when it comes to children. Because that's exactly what I see. And like I said when I started this video, my child deserves a fair opportunity to decide if she wants to be a witness or not. And I'm going to provide her that opportunity by creating the space for her. I'm going to create a space for youths who are Jehovah's Witnesses, are being raised as Jehovah's Witnesses. You can be baptized or not baptized or whatever. I'm going to create the space, right? Just like anybody else would have maybe a business or whatever. Like my children here in this city, right? A sister owned like a dance class and my children went. It's going to be the same thing. It's about, I'm going to do it virtual because it's not okay. It is not okay that children cannot get the support that they are needing. You know what I mean? And there's not enough activities out there for children anyway. It's not practical. Children need more. I see that in what happened with my son. I can see it, right? Being told in the 5th grade that, ma'am, like he really needs to play a sport. This is going to help him in school. But there's no sports leagues for witnesses by witnesses, right? So of course I wasn't gonna let him go to school and be in the worldly, right? Be with the worldly kids. I wasn't gonna do that. But I could also see the damage. And it's like I'm left to deal with that because he didn't get this. And not only that, shame, shame, shame on the brothers who play basketball, right? Because why don't you have more why don't you let the young boys play? There you go. Why don't you let the young boys play, right? You know what I'm saying? I can go on and on about that. But I will say that I'm very excited because this program that I'm creating and building is going to come out this fall. Okay? Because my child will have a fair opportunity. And for her to get a fair opportunity, she needs to be around other youths to decide. So fine. I'll create the space. All right. That's my video for today. Hey, protect yourself. Protect your children. Heal correctly. See you Sunday.